I love thinking about the fact that there have been many, many, many full spectrum women in your bloodline. It might not have been for the past few thousand years, but before that, there exists. You have ancestors that were anchored in their womb. You have ancestors that could experience multiple orgasms. Maybe you had ancestors that were like sex witches or priestesses, right? You had ancestors that trusted their bodies, that were anchored in their eroticism, that trusted birth. You had ancestors that were revered.
Yo, 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 lovers. Welcome to Sex, Love, and Everything in Between. We're the O'Neills. You're here with Meg and Jacob.
And this is the place we have really uncensored conversations about sex, intimacy, and relationships. We're super excited you're here. Enjoy this episode. Hi, my loves. It is Meg. And I'm solo today. It's just you and me for a very intimate conversation. The truth is, Jacob and I are actually finding it very challenging to record podcasts together now that we have a 4-month-old. He's actually 4 months old today. Now we have a 4-month-old who's no longer a newborn, who doesn't sleep for hours and hours and hours at a time. So we can't just strap him on and podcast because he'll be awake. So maybe expect a few more solo episodes from us as we navigate this. We are not going anywhere. Jacob and I are definitely going to keep giving you at least 1 or 2 episodes together each month, maybe even more. But just giving you the heads up, there's some solo episodes to come. So this is our first ever solo episode of the podcast. I'm very excited. We're going to have an episode. We're going to have a conversation about being the chain breaker of your lineage. Because even if you've never thought about this before, even if you've never considered this, you are most likely, I'm just going to say it, you are definitely, if you're listening to this, the chain breaker of your lineage. You are the woman that is rewriting what it means to be a woman for your bloodline. You are doing things differently than the women that came before you, the many generations that came before you. And we're going to have a conversation about that. But first, if you can get yourself to the Gold Coast on the 22nd of February, you are going to want to join me for Full Spectrum Woman Live. It's going to be me and 100 other women in a room, an entire day devoted to revering and embodying the full spectrum feminine, right? All the parts of us as women that we've been taught are wrong or shameful or not feminine enough, or we can't be because that's not what a good girl is, right? To embody all the flavors, all the textures, our full range of woman. 100 women in a room devoted to this. Oh my gosh, I'm so fucking excited. I've been running Full Spectrum Woman online. It was an online program and now it's a membership. I've been doing that for almost 5 years and this is our first live event and I'm so excited to squeeze so many of you in person that I've known online for years and years and years. And there's so many women also coming that, you know, have never been inside Full Spectrum Woman, or this is the first time in my work. So if you've never joined a program of mine, if this is the first episode you're ever listening to, you are still very, very, very welcome. There's going to be so much sisterhood in the room as well. We actually have so many women. Once you get your ticket, you're going to be invited to our Telegram group chat. And there's actually so many women joining together and booking accommodation together and turning it into like a whole girls weekend. So if that's your vibe too, and you want to meet new sisters and you want to connect with women that are on this same journey of awakening their feminine and being devoted to full expression and their full range as women, you're going to want to get yourself a ticket. Like I said, less than 40 tickets left, probably less now once you're listening to this. Link is in the show notes here, or DM me live on Instagram, or head to Meg-, I always forget that, meg-o'neill.com/FSW-live. Okay, back to our conversation about being a chain breaking woman, because that's what you are. You are the woman in your lineage that is rewriting what it means to be a woman, right? You are standing up and really saying no more, like no more shrinking, no more contorting, no more diluting. You are the woman that's really breaking free of the conditioning that has kept many women in your bloodline caged, right? Has kept their power diluted and caged up, right? Now, I said that you're a chain-breaking woman and you're here to rewrite what it means to be woman for your bloodline. But one of the things I really love thinking about is that actually, yes, you're breaking the chains, but you're not the first woman in your lineage to be stepping into her full spectrum. I love thinking about the fact that there have been many, many, many full spectrum women in your bloodline. It might not have been for the past few thousand years, but before that, there exists. You have ancestors that were anchored in their womb. You have ancestors that could experience multiple orgasms. Maybe you had ancestors that were like sex witches or priestesses, right? You had ancestors that trusted their bodies, that were anchored in their eroticism, that trusted birth. You had ancestors that were revered in their communities and in their collective for being woman, that their womanhood, their femininity, like not just femininity, softness, sweetness, like their full powered femininity was worshipped and revered and celebrated. Isn't that such a fucking stunning thing to think about? And so, yes, you're rewriting what it means to be woman, but only just for the last few thousand years, right? You're actually remembering what it means to be woman. You're reawakening the deep feminine wisdom, the ancient feminine wisdom that has been laying dormant in your body, in your lineage, in your bloodline. Right? It's there. It's ready to be awakened. I truly believe this, that the feminine, it isn't just this like surface level, I'm going to put on lipstick and I'll put roses in my bathtub and I'll wear a flowy dress. That's not the feminine. The feminine to me is a deep pulse within our blood, right? It's a deep pulse within our bones. It's an energy that lives in our cells. And we live in a world, and many of our foremothers, right, generations, maybe for the last few thousand years, have lived in a world where this feminine pulse, the lifeblood of the feminine that lives in every woman and every man, but every woman, we have lived in a world that has pushed that down, that has made women cage that up, right, that has kept that wisdom dormant. Yeah. And you are the woman. You are the woman standing up and saying, no more, no longer will this lay dormant. I am here to reawaken this wisdom, to not only reawaken, but embody this, to embody all the parts of me that my mother, all the parts of woman that my mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother never got a chance to, that it wasn't safe enough for them to. I have full chills right now. Can you feel that? Can you feel like this work, whether you're like practicing self-pleasure and you're clearing shame from your body so that you can become more alive in your pleasure, or you're learning to use your voice in relationship, you're learning to say no and stand strong in your boundaries. A lot of these things, many of the women that came before you weren't able to do, didn't feel safe enough to do, right? And you are the woman that's reawakening this in your bloodline. So the women that come after you, the many women that come after you, whether it's in, your blood daughters or just the daughters of our planet, that these women don't have to do the work of reawakening this. They don't have to do the work of sifting through the shame and the suppression and all of these inherited stories, right, that live in our body. The women to come don't have to do that because you, me, all of these women here doing this work, we are doing it in our own bodies so the women of the future don't have to. Can you feel that? That's what it means to be a chain breaker. That's what it means to be a chain breaker. Oof, 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 oof. For those coming to Full Spectrum Woman Live, one of my favorite things to do is to guide women, and you'll experience this because this is one of the first things we're going to do together. I love guiding women through a journey. It's like a guided journey, an embodiment journey of really visualizing all the women that came before them and seeing a sea of faces before them and looking for a full spectrum woman in those sea of faces, and the sea of faces being all the women that came before them, your mother, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, all of the women as far back as you can possibly even imagine, and looking for a full spectrum woman in those sea of faces. And it's such a moving practice to go through because firstly, it can be quite heartbreaking to witness and feel that, wow, so many of the women that came before me weren't expressed. They felt the pain of pushing down their voice, of pushing down their wisdom, of caging so many parts of themselves, and maybe not even realizing the fullness that was available to them, right? Being dissociated from the full expression that was available to them. And then it's also so beautiful to attune to, like I said before, the full spectrum women that existed in our lineage, our ancestors that were embodied in the full expression, the full spectrum of their feminine power. The ancestors that lived that were anchored in their body, their sexuality, their voice, that were celebrated for their womanhood, for their fertility, for their aliveness, for their eroticism, for their wild, untamed feminine power. Like, those kind of women exist in your bloodline. How fucking cool is that? And then the next part of the visualization, I get women to really tune in and see a new sea of faces and imagine these are the women to come, all the women to come. And yeah, I'm actually just going to leave it there because I don't want to spoil this guided process for anyone that ever does it with me. So I'm sorry for teasing you with that. I actually want to tell a bit of a story about the first time that I realized that I was the chain breaker in my lineage. And it was about 6 years ago, and it was actually during a plant medicine ceremony. And I'd been on my spiritual journey for about probably like 5 years by then, but so much of my spiritual journey at that stage had been what I call shoulders up. It had been, the mind stuff, the affirmations, the positive thinking, the I'm a stay high vibe. I don't want to feel any low vibrational things. I'm a high vibe girly. That was kind of my spiritual journey up until that point. And I think that was a beautiful part of my journey, but yeah, I'm all about descending into the body rather than trying to ascend out of our human experience. Descending is where the magic is as a woman. So about 6 years ago, I'd done a few plant medicine ceremonies. I'd actually done quite a lot of plant medicine ceremonies before this, but this particular ceremony, I found myself, there was music playing, and I found myself standing and just beginning to dance. And one thing you need to know about me is before this moment, I didn't believe I could dance. I was the kind of woman that just like danced by like throwing my arms up in the air and just kind of like bouncing up and down. I looked at women that could move their hips and circle their hips, and I was like, that's not me. I could never be like that. I was never someone who thought I was sexy. I was never someone that thought I had any like wild erotic energy in me. I would have looked at other women at the time that were that and thought, I probably judged them, but I also probably thought, oh, that's not me. I could never be like that. And so during this plant medicine ceremony, I started to dance. And I started to move my hips in a way that I had never, ever moved my hips. It was like I was being moved. I wasn't moving my body. my body was moving me. And I started to circle and almost like grind my hips in a way that I'd never before. And it was like this energy was so alive in my hips, and it started to just circle and wave through my entire body. And this happened, this went on for a good, like, well, let's be honest, who fucking knows? Because I was in a ceremony, and time does not exist in those things. But let's just say it went on for a really long time. And I remember one of the most beautiful things about that experience is that I had never felt so at home in my body. I had never felt so at home, full stop. As I was circling my hips and moving in this way my body had never moved, it was like I was tasting. It was like I was unlocking the depth of my feminine power. It was like this oozing of feminine energy was just washing over every cell of my body. And I was feeling for the first time this wild, untamed, deeply primal feminine energy, this like ancient feminine primal wisdom that was no longer laying dormant in my body, but I had unlocked. And it was the most delicious, but simultaneously deeply homecoming experience I had ever had. And like I said, this went on and on and on. And next minute, I found myself dropping to my knees, and it's going to make me cry. I found myself dropping to my knees, and my hands came to the earth, and it was like there was dirt and there was mud, and my knees were on the earth and my hands were grabbing the soil, and I just started to wail. I just started to wail and cry and cry and cry. And I was crying for all the women that came before me that never got to experience this, but never got to feel their bodies like this, that never got to unlock the primal feminine wisdom that was laying dormant in their body, in their womb, in their pussy. And I was crying for them, and I was crying for what that meant for their life, like all the moments they stayed silent when they really wanted to say no, or they really wanted to use their voice. All the times they outsourced their power when they really fucking knew they could feel their instincts or their inner wisdom. Yeah, all the times they pushed down the depth of their sensitivity. All the times they contorted themselves, they diluted themselves to stay palatable, to really stay fucking safe. And so in this moment, I just felt such deep grief. It was just waves and waves and waves of grief just washing over me for specifically my mother and my grandmother. And yeah, just feeling the grief that from my assumption, they never got to experience this awakened feminine power. And in that moment, and this is really where Full Spectrum Woman was born, and this idea of being the chain breaker. In this moment, I really fucking felt that this was my devotion to, yes, that it was heartbreaking that the women that came before me did not have an opportunity or didn't feel safe enough to feel this feminine power and unleash it in their bodies and unleash it in their life and live accordingly and live from this place. But it was also such a beautiful thing that I got to be the woman that awoken this power within my body, so my daughters and my daughters' daughters and all the women to come didn't have to forget that this thing didn't lay dormant in them, that it was alive in them. Like, imagine this. This is one of the things I love thinking about. And, you know, I have a son, but I hope to have a daughter. And even if I don't have a daughter, my sons will know you know, what it means to be woman. But I love the idea of having a daughter and her not having to do the work of meeting the shame that lives on top of her sexuality, or to not have to do the work of learning how to be in her full range, or to feel her feelings, or to process emotions, right, as a woman. Like the idea that, you know, I get to do this work in my body and my legacy gets to be a liberated daughter. Like that's just a most beautiful thing to think about. And I truly believe we as women are here to change the world. Like we can change the world. The only way a human can get onto the planet is by growing in the body of a woman. Like we matter. How we feel matters. How we move through life matters. Right? Yeah. So the way we, like us liberating ourselves, us truly stepping out of the box that the world taught us that we should stay in as a woman. This little box of kind, palatable, sweet, soft, surrendered, all of these good little girl qualities. This is actually a box that keeps us able to be controlled and manipulated, right? A woman isn't just sweet, soft, and surrendered. A woman, right? A woman has the capacity to feel rage. A true woman, right, is erotically and wildly alive. A true woman has the ability to speak fire, to spit fire when she needs to. Yeah? She is chaos. She is mess. She is all of it. This is what it means to be a full spectrum woman. And I truly believe a woman that dilutes any part of herself dilutes her power, right? When we're caging up any part of ourself as woman, we are caging up our power. The doorway, the portal to our power, more of our liberation, walking through the world more liberated, more free, more anchored in our power, is by reclaiming the parts of us that the world told us were wrong. Reclaiming the parts of us as women that we've been told we're not allowed to express or embody. Like, this is the way. Right? The clue is anything the world, anything the patriarchy told us as women that we shouldn't do or shouldn't be, that's the key. That's a clue to what's going to liberate us. That's a key to what's going to bring us home to more of our power, right? Follow the fucking clues. Our sexuality, our pussy, our voice, our fire, the depth of our emotions, our rage, all of it. That's the doorway to more of our power. And again, a lot of the time, you know, if I think about my own mother and my own grandmothers, these women lived in the box. These women didn't live a lifetime where they were able to speak their truth. They didn't live lives where they were anchored in their pleasure, right? Where they felt safe in their body to unleash their eroticism, to be wildly alive and desire. I haven't seen that in my bloodline, in the women that I've met here on earth, right? Again, it's such a beautiful, beautiful thought to think of the women in my bloodline potentially thousands of years ago that were erotically alive and fiercely expressed and celebrated for the depth of their feminine power, the connection they had to their instincts, to their inner knowing, to their oracular nature. Like, that's so fucking beautiful. That's so fucking beautiful. And again, me, you, all the women in this community are chain-breaking women that are remembering this, that are awakening this ancient wisdom that lives in our bodies. No longer will it stay dormant. May we and all the women that come next, all our daughters or the daughters of our planet, may they know what it means to be a fully expressed woman, a fully alive woman, a full spectrum woman. Oh, I'm liking this solo episode thing. Let's see what I'm doing for time. Okay. Let me tune in to see if there's anything else I want to share. Yeah. Okay. This is one last thing I think I want to share. To be a chain breaking woman, this isn't just like one moment where we go, I'm the chain breaking woman of my lineage. I'm no more shrinking, no more contorting, no more diluting. I'm going to be fully expressed. We don't just say that once and then we're the chain breaking woman. We choose to be the chain breaking woman. It's like a moment by moment decision. It doesn't really happen in the macro of our life. It happens in the micro of our life, right? It's when we're with a sexual partner and we're in the throes of lovemaking and then suddenly we're a no, right? Being the chain breaking woman in that moment is to say no, is to use our voice, right? To express our no instead of just continuing to go on because that's what our partner wants, right? Being the chain breaking woman means trusting our instincts, that voice, that whisper, and sometimes it's not a whisper, sometimes it's an inner roar, but that part of you that is telling you, it's telling you the thing, telling you to do the thing, telling you to stop the thing, telling you to leave the relationship, telling you to make the move, like whatever it is, that voice. Being the chain breaking woman is listening to that voice, no matter how inconvenient it is, no matter how much you're worried about what people are going to think of you, no matter how much it doesn't make sense, no matter how much your mother or your father or someone says you shouldn't do that, right? Being the chain breaking woman is trusting those instincts, being the body led woman. Right? So being the chain breaking woman lives in the micro of your life. Yeah. Every single day you have the opportunity to be the chain breaking woman. Again, it doesn't happen by just saying that's what you are. It's in the way you move as woman. It's in the way you wife. It's in the way you mother. It's in the way you relate. It's in the way you use your voice. It's in the way you inhabit your body. Yeah. The chain breaking woman, right, is connected to her pussy. Yeah, she has moved through the shame the world has taught her to feel around her vulva and her pussy. Yeah, she knows how to breathe down into her pussy. She knows how to touch her pussy. She's gazed in the mirror at her pussy. Yeah, she no longer believes, like her aunts, like the generations before her were taught, that her pussy is a shameful thing, a dirty thing, something that's wrong with her, something that's broken, something that she should stay disconnected from. The chain breaking woman, yeah, is reclaiming her pussy. She's breathing into her pussy. She's listening to her pussy, right? When her pussy says no, she advocates for her pussy. So can you see that being the chain breaking woman is a moment by moment, day to day practice? It's a devotion. It's a devotion. Oh, okay, my loves. This has been really fucking beautiful. If you know you're the chain breaking woman in your lineage and you'd love to be amongst other chain breaking women and you'd also love guidance and support as you live out being the chain breaking woman, as you walk the path, the day-to-day, micro moment-to-moment path of being the chain-breaking woman. If you want some support, sisterhood guidance, number one, get yourself to Full Spectrum Woman Live. But if you can't make it to Full Spectrum Woman Live, come and join me in the membership. This is a really, really, really sacred, beautiful part of my work. It's actually one of the only ways you can work with me really intimately. It's a membership. We have 40 plus women inside. And this is a space for chain breaking women. We have a whole curriculum devoted to supporting you to awaken your full spectrum feminine. Again, awakening all the parts, remembering, reclaiming all the parts that we as women have been told not to be, not to embody. There are monthly coaching calls with me. There's bi-monthly relationship Q&A. So every second month, Jacob comes in and we do a relationship Q&A. We actually just had one before this and it was epic. The women always ask Jacob the best questions. And it's so great to have him in this space and his masculine perspective. We have tons of guest calls. What else do we have? You get free tickets to Full Spectrum Woman Live. Oh my gosh, there's so much. There's a whole pathway. We have pathways on awakening your eroticism and sexuality, and there's hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of guided self-pleasure practices. We have a monthly embodiment practice or pleasure practice where we all get together and I guide you through, sometimes it's sex magic, sometimes it's a de-armoring practice, sometimes it's another embodiment practice that's really alive in the space. Oh, you just got to get yourself inside. There's so much. Oh, we have an epic group Telegram chat where we all connect and you can create sisterhood. Anyway, there's so much there. And if you're wanting sisterhood on this path of being the chain breaking woman, if you're wanting support on really descending into your body as a woman and really awakening this feminine power that lives in your cells, it's pulsing in your blood and bones and it's there. And if you're ready to remember it and reawaken it and live from that place, come inside Full Spectrum Woman, the membership. There's a link below, or just DM me membership on Instagram. I love yous. And this is big work. I say this every single time I end a Full Spectrum Woman call. I literally tell the women, I'm like, I'm so grateful. Like I never want this to, what am I trying to say? Yeah, like I'm just so grateful to every woman that's doing this work. And I truly am circling back to what I said before. I truly believe that we as women are here to change the fucking planet. Like we as women, the awakened woman will change the fucking world. We really will. Like women are the lifeblood of our planet. And our planet has suffered for thousands of years because our culture hasn't honored that and hasn't revered that. And we as women that are remembering that are standing up and saying, no longer will I be able to be manipulated and controlled. Here I am in my full fucking power. Like that is rippling out. And yeah, we're going to see that. We are seeing that in the collective. And it's just such an honor to do this work and to witness women. Yeah, to witness women full fucking stop. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. This has been a fun solo episode. I adore each and every one of you. I will see you soon.